All right, I'm in Chattanooga with Michael Devine, and we just had two wonderful, epic Christmas concerts.
High atop a mountain.
Yeah, high atop a mountain at Lookout Mountain Presbyterian Church last evening, where we did some beautiful works by Craig Courtney, Handel, who else?
Joshua Spock.
Yeah, Spock. And anyway, Michael and I were hanging out last night, talking all things choir, talking all things choral, and he reminded me of a particular concept that I had first heard him describe when we were both music directors in the DC area, and I wanted to get him on camera, or something very official. As you can tell, this is
right.
This is a high budget production here, talking about this idea of placement, and I thought this would be particularly helpful for people who are maybe just getting into choral conducting, maybe lack some formal training, but would like to be able to get a more beautiful tone and sound and timbre from their choir. So this is quite a phenomenal concept, which is something Michael had written about while he was a student at Luther and St. Olaf. So go ahead. This is called The Power of How.
Power of How. Well, I often try to get my choirs to unify vowels as much as possible. I think that's what a lot of us try to do in choral conducting. But that requires having what I call the same basic basal vowel that everything is sort of being unified around. And in thinking about what is that vowel shape that I want my choirs to always be unifying around, I was sitting at my desk one day working with my mouth and annoying my roommate, and came up with the realization that, the word how, especially if you do it in slow motion, how, has a whole lot that I like as a choral conductor, and makes a lot of great sound. So if you start with that word, and again do it slowly, how.
And this is something that you would have your choir actually think.
Oh, and have them do it
in rehearsal.
Yeah, and have them do it. I mentioned this concept at least once a rehearsal. It comes up, and the goal is that some of these concepts become autopilot to a certain degree eventually. But I talk about, that initial ha. Well, what's the first thing that happens is you have an ah vowel, but it's a ah vowel that we all really like because it's not terribly forward. It's not ha ah ha, and it's not terribly backward like the German word Vater.
Right.
It's not oh. It's not in the back. It's a very neutral ah sound. How.
So it's very appropriate even for an American context.
Absolutely. And it can translate into almost any language. So it's a nice neutral ah. But then as you finish the word, the very last vowel shape that actually you both make and that you produced vocally is an oo vowel. How. And so the two most important elements that I talk about with my choir is that it's the height of the ah and then the shape of the oo. A great example of how this can apply to every other vowel is if you take, for example, the vowel E, which is the most east-west vowel that we have in the English language in terms of the shape of our mouth, right. East-west. And if you just have a choir, let's say it's the word B, and they're going B, have them stop and just say, choir, say how. How. Don't change your mouth. Now say B. B.
Right.
And suddenly it has both clarified the sound, it's unified it around a vowel, and you're making something that's more vocally nice.
Right.
So that's how I speak about it to the choir. Height of the ah, shape of the oo.
Because every choir is going to, the whole point of having a choir is you want a uniform sound and you want a consistent sort of shape to all of the vowels. So we all have to decide on something. So this is one particular way to get people heading all towards the same direction.
Yeah, and I will admit that this tends to produce a tonal palette or color
right.
that drifts in the slightly darker direction.
Correct.
That happens to be my preference.
Which is a little bit more in the kind of the upper Midwest Lutheran tradition.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, gotta give honor to my education. So
Right.
But from a technical standpoint, so this is something I don't really talk about with a choir, but it's something helpful from an education standpoint for directors to understand what's going on technically behind the scenes of this whole how concept is that it's a word that with vowels drifts through. So when you're starting with that high ah in the middle of the mouth and you're going forward to an ooh, how, what that does is it creates that natural J shape or a ramp shape on the inside of your mouth through the progression of the word. So you're starting high and you're ending low and out, how. And that's another thing from a technical standpoint that I don't talk about with a choir, but you are getting them into that mode of having that ramp inside of their mouth without having to tell them something like raise your soft palate.
Right.
Lots of choir members don't know what the soft palate is. They know how to say the word how.
They'll all interpret that differly, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very, very brilliant. And so this can be implemented just mid-course correction. Is something if you find the vowel drifting, if you find the choir not unifying, you'll simply remind them, okay, sing how.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it can apply to a word at any point in a phrase. Now, what's wonderful is especially when you have words in your choral music that actually have that OU
Right.
spelling in them, because then you can just relate it directly to that word as well.
Yes.
Another thing that's a little bit helpful in an exercise like this is that you have that nice aspirate H at the beginning.
Right.
And that aspirate H just gets the air moving. So you're not starting with something that has a soft or a hard glottal as an exercise.
Right.
You have something that's easy on the voice and easy on the breath.
Excellent. I love this. I'm such a fan. I'm going to steal this. That's why I'm putting it on YouTube. So thank you very much, Michael.
You're very welcome.
All right.
Happy singing.
Cheers.